What's up, Cowboys Nation? Before we jump into today's major developments coming out of Dallas, do us a huge favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a beat. We're all about bringing you the most honest and up-to-date Cowboys coverage, and your support helps us keep doing just that. Now listen, the goal is simple. This team is focused on constant improvement, and the moves they've made this offseason, from the trade for George Pickens to contract negotiations with Micah Parsons, show just how serious the Cowboys are about chasing a Super Bowl. But with great expectations comes early criticism. And yes, training camp hasn't even started. Yet some are already throwing shade at Dak Prescott. Meanwhile, Micah Parsons is playing the media game just as well as he plays the edge. And he's putting pressure on Jerry Jones like never before. Let's break it all down. Buckle up. This is a juicy one. So here we are, folks. Training camp is still weeks away, and somehow Dak Prescott is already the target of criticism, despite coming off an MVP-caliber season. Bleacher Report's Christopher Knox made headlines this week by suggesting that Prescott's performance at training camp, yes, training camp, could be the key to justifying his four-year, $240 million contract signed last September. Let's pause right there. Dak just led the NFL in touchdown passes, nearly won MVP, and kept this team competitive all year. He's also been one of the best statistical quarterbacks in the NFL over the past 5 seasons. But now we're talking about training camp throws like they determine legacy? Sure, we get it. With George Pickens now in the building alongside CeeDee Lamb, expectations are sky high. And yeah, developing chemistry between Dak and Pickens is a storyline to watch in Oxnard. It matters. But no one wins a Super Bowl in a July. Knox wrote, "How will Prescott look in camp with a new system and a new perimeter playmaker? Hopefully good enough to justify the massive 4-year, $240 million extension. But here's the reality. Nothing Dak does in camp is going to move the needle. He could throw 10 touchdowns a day in practice. Until he delivers deep into January, the national media won't give him credit. And Dak knows that. But what fans should really focus on is this. Prescott now has the best receiving duo he's ever worked with. CeeDee Lamb is already elite, and Pickens gives the Cowboys a legitimate deep threat who can stretch defenses and open up space underneath. If Dak and Pickens click, it won't just make headlines. It could reshape the entire identity of this offense. Now let's shift gears to Micah Parsons, who's showing the front office that two can play the PR game. We've talked all offseason about the slow progress in his contract extension talks, but now Parsons has decided to apply public pressure, and he's doing it with style. Appearing alongside NBA star Kevin Durant and host Kay Adams, Parsons was asked whether he'd ever consider playing in Washington. His answer? "I only rock with Dan Quinn." Boom. That one sentence sent Cowboys Nation into a frenzy. Let's be clear. Parsons didn't say he would join the Commanders, but he also didn't slam the door shut. And when you're on camera saying that about your former defensive coordinator, now the head coach in Washington, that's not by accident. Parsons is playing chess. This wasn't a random interview. This was Fanatics Fest. A high-profile, highly public setting. And Parsons made sure the message reached the front office. "I've been patient. I've been loyal. Now it's time for you to do your part." And let's not forget, the Cowboys have a track record of dragging out big contract negotiations. We saw it with Dak. We saw it with CeeDee Lamb. And now Parsons, already a 2-time All-Pro and arguably the best defensive player in football, is watching the clock tick. He's been doing everything right. Told the media last year he wanted to help with cap space. Showed up for minicamp. Participated in drills. Stayed positive and professional through the offseason. But now, with no deal in place and no clear progress being reported, Parsons is starting to control the narrative, making sure fans know he's doing his part. And here's the kicker. Parsons says he'll be at training camp, but whether or not he takes the field, that's up to the owner. That's a direct challenge to Jerry Jones. Parsons isn't just waiting quietly anymore. He's reminding the front office and fans that he wants to be here, but he's not going to be taken for granted. It's calculated and it's smart. If Jerry isn't careful, this could turn into a distraction very quickly. And that's not what a championship team needs heading into camp. George Pickens' arrival in Dallas was one of the biggest stories of the offseason. After years of being underutilized, and some would say mismanaged, by the Pittsburgh Steelers, Pickens now finds himself in what many are calling the best situation of his young NFL career. Let's be real. Talent has never been the issue. Pickens has always had the physical tools, the speed, the hands, the ability to make circus catches look routine. But in Pittsburgh, he never quite reached his full potential. Part of that was on him, but a lot of it was on the situation, a rotating carousel of quarterbacks, and a passing scheme that never truly featured him as the dynamic threat he is. Enter Dallas. Here, he joins forces with CeeDee Lamb, giving the Cowboys a 1-2 punch at wide receiver that rivals any in the league. He also gets to catch passes from Dak Prescott, a far more consistent and accurate quarterback than what he experienced in Pittsburgh. And according to fantasy football analyst John Daigle, that's exactly why Pickens is poised to make a huge leap. George Pickens is finally going to get easier coverage for the first time in his career, with the most accurate targets he's ever received, Daigle said on the Ross Tucker podcast. I love the upside of changing the spectrum for George Pickens. He even compared it to what happened with Darnell Mooney, who thrived after going from Justin Fields to Kirk Cousins. Daigle sees that same kind of upside for Pickens with this change of scenery. Now here's where things get even spicier. While praising Pickens, Daigle couldn't help but throw some shade at Pickens' old team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. His comments about finally getting easier coverage and more accurate targets were not so subtle digs at the way Pickens was used. And who was throwing to him? Let's face it, the Steelers' quarterback situation has been rocky, to say the least. Between Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, and brief stints with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, it's been a revolving door with very little stability. Daigle's point is clear. Pickens wasn't the problem. He just never had the right quarterback or offensive structure to let his talent flourish. In Dallas, he gets exactly that. Dak Prescott, for all the criticism he gets, is one of the most accurate passers in the NFL. And now he has Pickens as a vertical threat and Lamb as the elite slot and intermediate route specialist. That combination is going to open up the field in a way we haven't seen since the days of peak Dez Bryant and Terrence Williams. It's also worth noting, Pickens is playing for a new contract. That means you're getting a motivated, focused, and dialed-in version of a guy who knows the stakes, and knows this is his shot to prove everyone in Pittsburgh wrong. If he clicks with Dak the way he should, this won't just be a good move. It could be one of the biggest steals of the offseason. Let's talk fantasy football for a second, because this is where the George Pickens hype train is really starting to pick up steam. John Daigle and other analysts believe Pickens has the chance to be a breakout WR2 with WR1 upside. Think about that for a moment. In an offense with CeeDee Lamb as the centerpiece, defenses are going to focus all their attention on stopping number 88, leaving Pickens in plenty of one-on-one situations downfield. This isn't just a fantasy angle. This has huge implications for the Cowboys' actual offense. In 2024, Dallas struggled at times to stretch the field vertically. Brandon Cooks flashed, but he wasn't consistent. Michael Gallup never quite returned to form. But with Pickens, the Cowboys now have a receiver who can win deep consistently, go up and snag contested catches, and bring an edge and swagger that this offense has been missing. And let's not forget, Kellen Moore is gone. Mike McCarthy has had a full offseason to build a system around his playmakers, and with Dak, Lamb, Pollard gone, and now Pickens, we're likely to see a more aggressive passing game that leverages matchups and talent. Defenses won't be able to double Lamb and bracket Pickens. Someone will get open. And if Pickens capitalizes the way Daigle believes he will, we're not just talking about a breakout year. We're talking about a 200-plus yard, 10-touchdown season. That's the kind of year that gets you paid, and the kind of season that elevates the entire Cowboys offense into top 5 territory. So here's where things stand. Dak Prescott is already getting heat before he's even thrown a pass in training camp. Micah Parsons is putting pressure on Jerry Jones in the most public way possible, and George Pickens may be the key to it all. The new piece that could transform this team's future. It's early, but the storylines are heating up fast. This team is talented enough to contend, but everything hinges on how they handle the pressure, manage egos, and lock in when it matters most. So now it's your turn, Cowboys Nation. What do you think? Is the criticism of Dak in July fair, or just another example of national bias? And are you backing Micah Parsons in his standoff with the Jones family? Let us know in the comments. And as always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. Let's ride together, all the way to Oxnard and beyond.